Hey everybody, I'm Tony Fleming from Fleming's Ultimate Garage. Thanks again for joining us on today's video. Listen, a lot of times we said, man, I should have bought it when I saw it. And this is exactly one of those times, and I'll tell you why. So we see a lot of great, interesting, amazing kind of wide range of cars come through here at Fleming's. And once in a while you get just something that's classic. And what does classic mean? Well, classic means it has great styling, low production, low miles, very authentic and original. And those are the kind of cars that we have seen over the past continue to kind of go up in value over time. And so while I can't predict the future, all I can tell you is that these selling for what they are right now, we have been watching, and you can see some graphs and everything doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and that is to drive your investment. How cool is that? Where you can actually own something and watch it go up in value while you enjoy the fruits of that as well. We're going to spend some time walking around. I'm going to give you some tips on some things that I look for when I'm buying cars like this. You can use those tips if for some reason you missed this one, because this one will go pretty quick. And I think that by the time we're done, you'll be like, hey, Tone, how do I get this in my garage? Part of owning a collector car is this original miles, which we have history of, Carfax, receipts, things like that. Does it have original interior? We know from looking at it and testing it over time, we do. And does it have original paint, which we don't know, right? It's very hard to tell if a car has original paint unless you use something like this. This is an electronic paint meter. I'll explain to you what it does. It measures the millionths of an inch thick that paint is. You say, oh, it's only got millionth of an inch thick. Well, all cars are kind of like that, because what you're really doing is laying on coats of paint and then clear coat on top of that. And clear coat is really paint without pigment in it, right? And so to know if a car is original, we use this gauge, and this gauge measures that, because a body shop might make a repair on a car and they'll do a great job, but they don't care how thick the paint is. And so the factory paints these cars in a hospital-like environment, okay? And as it goes down the assembly line, the robots are painting this within, say, 3/millionths of an inch thick. So let's say this car was in between 4 and 7. We would say that that's original paint on a car. When it jumps to like 10, 12, and 13, we know there's been a repair there. So here, we'll just go ahead and do the side so I don't bore everybody here. We have 4.5 here. We have 5.0 here. We have 5.0 again, 4.5, and so on and so on. Things like this. And we'll go back to the hood up here. Check that out. 5.0. So we know that this is original and authentic paint. So why does this matter? Well, what it matters is because now this is an even cooler car. This is how original it is. Think about this. This car is almost 40 years old. This is almost 25 when we're doing this video, right? It's almost 40 years old. The simple fact is it's been driven less than 1,500 miles a year. It was somebody's third or fourth car. It was in a garage. It was covered. It's exactly what we hope that we'll do for you as well. If you stay in your garage and keep a cover on it and use it sparingly as this great weekend car and stuff like that. Also, too, the paint quality on this car is so good looking with a blue interior and the white paint. It is shiny. Come on up here and see. This is factory original paint. We just measured it. And look how nice and clear all those letters are. You can see the lights in there, the ceiling, all that good stuff. What a great looking classic 80s vintage look to a car. All right, before we get under the hood here, I want to say this real quick. One of the fun things I love to do is I'll say, hey, listen, go open the hood of the 560 over there. Check it out. Tell me what you think. It's pretty cool looking. And people will pop the hood from inside, and then they will spend hours looking around for the latch. They could never find out how to open the hood, and it's kind of funny to watch. And you may not even know how to either. So I just want to give you a quick tip on that. It's hidden right inside the Pentastar here, and you go ahead and the latch is right in there. Once you know where it is, it's great. But other than that, no one can ever find it. It's very funny. All right. So why have these cars become desirable and collectible? Well, first off, you got 5.6 liters of V8. That's a big V8, right? Especially German V8s that make a lot of power to begin with. And it's all aluminum. Aluminum block, heads, all that good stuff. Overdrive automatic. This is a powerful, fast car. It was the most expensive car that Mercedes sold at the time in this configuration. And some of the other little tiny things I like to point out, because you can read about all of the detail stuff up here, but I want to point out this. When you're looking at cars, and some of the things that I see are this. It has original stickers still in here. You can't buy these stickers. right? So this has the original trim tag here, which shows how the car was built down the assembly line. The VIN number is still stamped in here. You say, Tone, why is that a big deal? Who cares about the stickers and whatever? My point is this. If it had been in an accident, these parts would have needed to be replaced, but they're still here. All right, so I want to just spend a second back here because this is a luxury car and it's a grand touring sports car, right? What does that mean? Well, it has high-end finishing pieces on it because all the time people say, hey, Tone, I love the look of that car, man. But no one knows why it's a great looking car. Little stuff like this full piece of stainless that's polished here, right? This piece is trim that goes all the way across, giving the car this wider stance. Polished here, stainless, stuff like this. This down here, you can see where it's the dual exhaust coming out. And this look through here where you get that great array of gauges, that center stack with all the wood in there. When people are behind you and they see this, they're like, wow, this is really a good looking car. And they point. I know that because I drive these cars all the time and I can see them in the rear view mirror going, talking to the person next to them. It's really great. All right. This is Mercedes, and this is a different Mercedes than maybe today's modern Mercedes. Today's modern Mercedes are very tech heavy. I felt like these might have been built a little bit better. They have a sound. They have a sound that just feels different. All of this is beautifully carpeted in here. Everything's tucked away, like the battery is moved back here. Battery weighs up to 50 pounds, and they move it to the back of the car to take some of the weight off the front end, right? So it handles a little bit better. Spare tires in here. It's just nicely done, all this stuff. And again, back to my original statement up front is here are the original decals still in place. So we know that this has not been an accident and these parts have been replaced, right? So that's a really good statement there. And then we have that famous third brake light that came out in the mid 80s, right? Still in its place and looking good. And today every car has to have it. All right, so when you walk up to a car in this shot here, this car is a good looking car. It's a stylish car. It's got great, you know, I'm going to use the word again, style from the 80s. And the 80s have come back, man. They are full of people doing things, shows, clothes, music, like all that stuff. And this is exactly why, because this was a cool piece. The world was full of excess, and here's a chance to own a car that was really, really expensive for its time. However, what we do love about these cars and why they're doing so well is very much like, say, a 70s or 80s vintage 911. A Porsche 911 of the 80s vintage is bringing a lot more money than it's ever has in the past, just like these are, because these are classic cars that are still modern enough to enjoy today. What do I mean by that? Well, they're fuel injected, they're four-wheel independent suspension, four-wheel disc brakes. This has, you know what, enough. Let's get inside and we'll talk about, and I'll show you all the amenities in there. All right, so what I love about these two is you get two different looks to these cars, right? Actually, three different looks. Tell them 3 different looks. What is it? It's a transformer? No, good call. That's a good question. No, 3 different looks is it comes with a painted hardtop, giving you a coupe look. They made these cars earlier on in coupes. They didn't really sell that well, so they just stuck with the convertible, but they give you an optional removable hardtop. This has it. It comes with it. It's painted. It looks really great, okay? And then here, we also have the top is stowed inside here, so you don't have to move things. You don't have to get stuff out. It's super easy to get out. If you get stuck in some rain, it comes up in a second, and it is blue, and it looks so good in blue. With the blue interior and the white, it is smoking hot, good looking, right? And when you're done with it, you just super quick, goes right back inside its little place, and off it goes down here, and then latch it, and you're back on the road. All right, so come join me inside here, and I'm actually leaving this annoying sound on for a second because I want you to hear it. So what that is the key-in buzzer, meaning that stuff still works, man. It still works just like it was supposed to. And this door, this is a convertible, by the way. Listen. Mercedes metal, man. It's just, this is a heavy car. It needs a lot of power, and it has that. And it's got an aggressive 170 mile an hour speedometer, full array of gauges, because this is still a sports car, right? 7,000 RPM tach, oil pressure, water, fuel. It even has an economy gauge. I wouldn't look at it. Nobody cares, but you can if you want to. This is a cool piece here. They put in an actual analog style temperature gauge for the exterior temperature, right? It was just a cool piece to put in the middle to make this right here finished off as like a 3-piece. Again, back to luxury cars and luxury styling. Like this is perforated in the center of the seat, but not here, right? These are little styling things I'm just trying to point out that people always say, wow, that's so beautiful, but we don't know why it's beautiful. These are the things. For instance, this rib right here, this perforation in the door panels, those are embossed in there, and they're reliefs, right? Meaning that this sticks out, it's not pressed down inside there. Costs a lot more money to do that, but it gives you a much better product. This wood here, the wood here, very nice. This has the original Becker Grand Prix radio in it. I want to say this to you, that you could easily upgrade this. We could do that here, and put in a digital audio system you can stream your music from and do your phone and what have you. And we would just keep this in a box. You could take it with you. And as these continue to increase in value, and if somebody wants to have the original one, they could have it back. Okay. Also, too, the glove box here, super nicely done. Console, leather. And back to my original statement about safety, this is an airbag. It has anti-lock brakes. It has ABS and it has traction control. Like, it has all of these great modern conveniences, still wrapped in an ultra cool vintage body. All right, so to close up this video, let me just run down a few things. Like, when I'm buying a car, for instance, one of the first things I look at is I look at the tires. You're like, Tone, who cares about tires? You can buy tires, they're cheap, right? That's not my point. My point is, if it's somebody's baby, let's say this was your baby, you would buy the best tires you could for it, right? You wouldn't buy very cheap Chinese knockoff tires, because that's more for like a lease turn-in. Like if you're just flipping a car and a lease turn-in. When we saw this car, it had a fresh set of Michelins on it, right? That was the most expensive tire you could get for the car. Obviously, driven less than 1,500 miles a year makes it already a collector car. We metered the paint for authenticity. We saw the inside. We saw all the luxury things like power windows and cruise control and upgraded audio and the safety stuff that comes with it. It's really, really why these cars continue to go up. And if you've never owned a 560, man, they make great power. They got this great heavy feel to it. They are an awesome, awesome car. I think you'd really love it. Anyway, call us 301-816-1000. We'll tell you all about this SL. And if you don't mind, hit the thumbs up down below. Helps get our message out there, and I really appreciate that. Share it with some friends. They might like to see the video as well. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We have new stuff coming out all the time. And I'll see you on the test drive. All right, so why have these become so wildly popular, right? Well, I'm going to tell you why. First off, they have an 80s vintage styling, which has become really cool. Like so many things that were 80s have come back around. Secondly, it has a lot of modern things. It's the same reason that an 80s vintage 911 became so popular, because it's modern enough that you get all the good stuff that you like. This has an airbag. It has anti-lock brakes. It has a big V8. Like, you step on the gas and like this thing goes, right? Whoa, this thing goes, and you get a luxury feel in here. You get two tops. I mean, it has so many great things going for it. And so I feel like when you want to go on a windy road or whatever, imagine taking this car and going to enjoy that time. It is awesome. So what are these like to also drive on like a windy road? Is it a sports car? Is it just a grand touring car? Well, it's a little bit of both, because with a four-wheel independent suspension, big four-wheel disc brakes, we're back here on some back roads, wheeling this thing pretty fast, and it is nice. Not to mention, it is rock solid Mercedes. Like, reminds me of what Mercedes was back in the day, versus maybe today, where it's more of a technology company. Then it was a solid, 500,000 mile car. This, with only 48,525 miles on it, it's like new inside. Listen, also too, I'll shut up for a second, but I'm running on some bumps and it's like rattle free. It's just that kind of car. And with books and keys and serviced and garaged, it's like a collector car, meaning that it's a low production. This car was very expensive for its time, and it's a great, easy car to drive. And imagine going to dinner in a car like this versus your daily SUV. You got to have your SUV, but this is just nice. I mean, look, we're just winding through these roads. It is awesome. Anyway, thanks so much for riding with me today. I had a great time. Thanks for getting me out of work for a few minutes. I really always enjoy that, and I really appreciate it. See you on the next one.
You